Is it started?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is Erin. Do you remember her?
Hi friends.
So we had a video earlier about Erin's recovery story, and no story is necessarily complete while we tell it, and so things have gone. It's funny because we have the exact same mental disorder, and we also share exact same timing. So as you know, I relapsed and have started recovery again, and Erin
Also relapsed and has started recovery again.
and she wanted to talk about that. So let's talk about maybe misconceptions with your first recovery versus this one. Is that a good wording?
Yeah. So my first recovery, I kind of talked about it on here about how it was different than Sarah's, and I didn't do the all-in recovery. I had an eating disorder counselor, and I had a dietitian, and I had a meal plan, and I had all this stuff, and I was like, and that's what worked for me. And here's the thing. That's not actually what worked for me, because unbeknown to me, I was pretty much in quasi recovery for over a year. Like, started recovery and I was eating more, so I was like in my head, like, that's recovered. But I did not ever like fully enter recovery probably until 4 or 5 months ago at this point. And all of a sudden I was like, I'm in a relapse, and I was like, I don't think what I did before worked for me. So I was like, I'm gonna try Sarah's thing of all in. All in is the way to do it in what worked actually for me this time.
Quasi recovery is a special type of hell because it's like you don't get fully satisfied in either way. Like, you're not truly giving into recovery, so you don't get to eat as much as you want or to live as fully as you deserve. But also in the anorexia mindset, you don't even get to be as skinny as you wanted to be. So it's like
like the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, exactly. Recovery, like just going, guns, what is it?
Guns a-blazing.
Yeah, that is it. That's very difficult as well.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I called Sarah and I was like, I'm full! And I'm in tears. And when I would get full, I literally would get stuck on the couch in this ball, and I'd be laying on my side, and I would just be crying and sobbing because I had not been full for years, like literal years. And my brain and my body did not know it. Sarah, I'm full! And she would have to be like, that's normal, that's okay. But also understood how scary it was to put that amount of food into my body for the first time in years.
Yeah, it's terrifying. And then, I don't know, it's a lot of Instagram or anybody talking about food likes to put them as like self-righteous. Like, Instagram is people's best lives, and then people like to show that I'm really healthy by eating this amount of food and these portion sizes and everything in moderation. But there's a time and a place for moderation, and eating disorder recovery is not it. So then you feel like this very hungry monster who's eating everything. And I personally ate until the point of overfull commonly, and that was terrifying too. And it's just dealing with that is hard.
And one of the things I struggle most with in recovery is like comparison. Like, my big thing was like eating less than everyone else. So like suddenly being like, I'm going to eat as much as you guys. I'm not going to be the skinny one. I'm going to maybe even eat more, and like grocery shopping. Like, I was like, everyone here thinks I am literally a fat lard because my cart is full. I don't only have fruits and vegetables and 2 bags of Cheetos, and it's really small. And also it was expensive. I was like, is this what grocery shopping actually, the actual costs are? I was like, I'm gonna have to fix my budget because I'm having to buy food to eat enough. And so there was like a lot of changes happening at once.
So how would you compare this recovery versus last recovery? Like, when you felt healthy back then, so what do you think you were thinking? Do you think you were wrong? Do you think you were clouded by your eating disorder? Like, what was it?
I think it was I think I was wrong. I think I was really clouded by like, what's the my mom's a dietitian, and so clean eating and like all of those rules, I didn't know that those were rules around food. I thought that was just the norm of like, you can't have a snack because you're gonna ruin your dinner. And like that's just how I grew up, and that culture surrounding food didn't really fit into the all-in method of recovery. And so in my mind, like that was gonna be the unhealthy option for me. And that paired with an eating disorder kept me in quasi recovery because I had to be healthy. And I only had like that one mindset of like eating the salads, working out, like eating to satiety meant you ate too much kind of mindset. And I like couldn't wrap my brain around the fact that like healthy in eating disorder recovery means like I would eat like more than I ever had before, and I would just have to like listen to my body. And because I really had not done that since I was probably like a child, because there was just, and it wasn't like my mom's fault, but like with her job and with her degrees and everything, like her view of food filtered down to us, and I think I kind of just took it and twisted it and used it as ammunition for my eating disorder. And so it made all in recovery like almost added like another layer that I had to like process through to be able to get there, because I just like would have these thoughts of like, if my mom saw me right now, or my sisters, like my family saw what I was doing or eating, like they would be disgusted. And I don't know if that was true or not, but that was just something that like my eating disorder like fed, no pun intended, fed to me, because it was like.
Do you think you would have thought maybe the recovery that you, like if you were talking to that person who was not listening to your body fully, do you think that you would have admitted that you were not all in? You would think, because I think of it as more of versus like just listening wholly to your body. Do you think you would have asserted that you had and you were?
Yeah, because in my mind it was like, well, I have been hungry, so I ate, so I'm listening to my body. And so like it was like I like reached step one and I thought that was the end step. So it was like hunger, ate. Now I can't have an eating disorder if I'm eating. Are you kidding? What are you talking about? I'm recovering. I'm recovered. Thank you very much. But then it was like, but I'm not eating enough. But it was like, but I'm eating. And so I don't think I understood to the entirety what it means to listen to your body, because in my mind my body wasn't something that I could trust, because my body would ask for processed food, or my body would ask for too much, or like a rule was like no seconds. Like I had to get the amount right the first try, either too little, or if I had too much I didn't finish it, like that looked great on me. And so like learning that like I could have seconds, like that's what my body wanted, was just like something I like had to learn as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What would you, if you could go back and say anything to that person that was feeling like restricting, but restricting with style, what would you say?
I like that. I think I would tell her that like it's gonna be harder, but the payoff is worth it.
Do you think that would have worked?
I hope so, because in the beginning of like my second recovery, my all-in recovery, I really wanted to go back to quasi recovery, because I was like, this is too hard. Like I remember getting to this point, because in the beginning of my quasi recovery, there was a couple of days I probably tried to do all in, because I remember having the same feeling both times of like, I can't recover this way because this is too hard. I'm gonna give up and I'm gonna go all the way back to my eating disorder. And so first time I went to quasi recovery, and because I was too afraid to like fully recover, because I thought I was just gonna like give up on it basically. And this time I was like, no, I'm not giving up. I'm gonna cry a lot and call Sarah even more, but I'm going to do it. And I didn't go back, and I haven't fallen back to quasi recovery, and I didn't go from, I thought it'd be like one extreme to the other. I would go all in and then I would snap back to no food, but I haven't. It has worked. Cried a lot, but it's worked.
Okay, I'm gonna change gears a little bit. We can of course return, but I thought this this is very toxic what I'm about to say, but we both relapsed at the same time. And by the time we recognized that we were lying to ourselves, we both knew it and we both talked about relapsing. And I remember one of our conversations, I called her and I was like, Erin, do you feel like your body's acting worse since your eating disorder now? And so I think that relapses are completely normal in eating disorder recovery, and we kind of have to account for that when we recover. That some days you will have hard days, and those days you might restrict, and then you're going to eat more the next day, and then it's going to be, you just need to have that forgiveness mindset, that I need to eat mindset. But in regards to relapse, I felt so tired, and more than I ever had with my eating disorder before. And I don't know if it's because I've gotten a few years older, but how did relapse feel?
I think it was mentally even tougher than Quasi Recovery, in the sense that I had more battles to fight constantly. Because with Quasi Recovery, I was appealing to my name to my eating disorder, Mildred. I was appealing to her, so she wasn't yelling at me constantly, and I didn't have to really fight her. I could eat a little, I had this middle ground. But when I entered into full recovery, it was every meal was a fight, every snack was a fight, every hunger urge was a fight, and I'm working a full-time job while doing this, and so it was crying on my lunch break in my classroom, just girly things. And then have to be all right, students are coming back, game mode on, turn it off. And so it was have all these feelings, couldn't feel them all the time, would get home and it would be this surge of emotions that I had to process through. And that was so physically I had more energy because I was ingesting more energy with more calories, but emotionally was so drained that the extra calories were doing nothing for it. I was tired. I was sleeping 14 to 16 hours during the weekends, every night, because I was so tired.
Yeah. So I think that it's interesting to have had the perspective of another person with the same disorder, because our eating disorders looked very different. It's kind of interesting to me how we both restricted. I was more numbers focused, whereas you were more comparison focused, more rule focused, whereas me it was just numbers. And so I didn't mind eating as long as it stuck with the numbers, and the type of food played into that. But also the recovery, the first recovery was much different. I feel like this recovery we were kind of together.
Dream team.
Yeah. So we just wanted to talk about that, because Quasi Recovery is hell, and
I didn't know it was a thing. I literally didn't know it was a thing, and I saw an Instagram that Sarah sent me, Eat with Care. Love her. She had all this stuff about Quasi Recovery, and I just remember I was in bed reading it, and all of a sudden I was oh no. She is describing how I've been for the past year, and I called Sarah sobbing, Sarah, I don't think I've actually been in recovery. Have you heard of Quasi Recovery? She's yes, of course I have. And I was oh, I have to start over. I have to do this again.
Starting over is horrible. That realization of, oh my God, I have to do all this again? Ugh.
Yeah, starting from scratch, and I know that it was hard last time, it's gonna be even harder this time. So there was Sarah, you probably talked to me for an hour of you can do this, and she was I'm there with you.
I just had started at this point. I was eating cartons of ice cream per day, and it was horrible. I was so hot too, but it is, it's worth it.
Yeah, it is. I was send me your thesis again, please. And literally every time I didn't want to eat, I was osteoporosis. And I would read, and I was it actually gets better. The Minnesota Starvation Project, I can do it. So I just read it over and over and over, and we texted all the time, I have to eat. I'm so mad.
It's also tracking how our talking has different. In the beginning, it was all food all the time, talking about how we both, oh my God, I feel fat today. I don't remember the last time we talked about having trouble with food.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Because it just naturally, as you eat more and as your brain is not like thirsting for food, it goes away.
I
And
think even like in that, like I was started like with a new counselor when I moved, and I was like, I want to recover from my eating disorder. And before I was in therapy, and like we talked about my eating disorder, like that was the only thing. And I was with a dietitian, and we talked about that. And like I felt like I was like doggy paddling, not like full freestyle. And then all of a sudden I'm eating more, and like it also became, I thought I needed to spend all my time and energy on my eating disorder and counseling to get better. But I started eating more instead of just talking about eating more in therapy. And like I haven't talked about it to her probably in a couple months because it hasn't been like a real issue. And then one day she was like, hey, how's your restricting? I like realized we haven't talked about it in a while. And I was like, oh yeah. Like we both kind of like, huh, haven't even like needed to check in on it. And like we haven't texted in quite a while about like, there's food and I don't want to eat it. Because we're like, we're doing the work. And then all of a sudden it hasn't felt like work in a while. It's just felt like
natural.
Yeah. Like we're gonna get brunch after this and it's gonna be amazing.
Biscuits. I'm so excited. All right. Well, we talked a little bit about my thesis and osteoporosis, and Erin has some exciting news. We're about to finish this video and then start another video because
I am going to be creating my own YouTube channel. I have been vlogging for a while. I haven't posted anything yet about my all-in recovery. I studied film in college for documentaries, and I was like, docu-series, here I come. And so we're gonna make a video on finding your why in recovery. That's gonna be my first video. Still working on a name, but Sarah will just put it down below once I get there.
Yeah.
If you would like to listen to my rambles.
You do. I swear. All right. Well, thank you for being back on my channel. You're welcome anytime, and on this couch, please.
Yes.
And we will see you once you hop on over to her channel. So,
See you there.
bye.